Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I have always had a problem with the saying that anything is possible, because that's just not true. Obviously, you can take it in the most literal sense and say, if I wanted to learn how to fly, I couldn't fly. But when someone says, follow your dreams, you can do anything, no, I can't. I'm a 26-year-old fat man. If I wanted to be an Olympic pole vaulter, that ship has sailed long ago. But there are so many amazing things that don't have a time limit on them in the world of creativity, in the world of art, and I have just been so inspired seeing the recent things that have happened with a couple of these young directors in the horror scene coming in and just blowing the doors off of the box office, and I really wanted to talk about it today because I think it's something that can remind us that just because not everything is possible doesn't mean that there aren't seemingly endless possibilities of things that you can do, passions that you can just pick up at any time in your life, ways that you want to, become better, or passions, things that you just haven't ever thought that you could actually do. They're possible. If you've ever watched a movie and thought, wow, this guy's a great actor, oh, I really wish that I knew somebody or had connections or started acting sooner, that does not matter anymore. You can start doing things on your own and pick up notice, and one of the biggest, examples of this is what we're seeing with Curry Barker's Obsession. Now, I have not seen this movie yet because I am a large pansy, and I do not go to watch horror movies in the theaters. Everyone goes, oh, there's no jump scares in this, don't even worry about it. My girlfriend went and saw it. She's got about the same tolerance for horror as me, and she was like, yeah, there were about 5 jump scares that would have sent you running out the theater. Now, when it comes out on streaming, of course I will watch it, and she has given me a full breakdown review so I could be a little bit better with talking about this movie, because I'm not really as excited to see a horror movie as I am for the genre. Horror is not my cup of tea, and I have had a problem with horror being oversaturated in the past. I felt like every big movie that's coming out is a horror movie, and I think that these, with Curry Barker and then with Kane Parsons' Backrooms, which of course I haven't seen that either, but the success is really what I want to talk about. I think with seeing their success with these films, it's so cool to me, and I have a brand new respect for horror, being that this film was made, Obsession was made for $750,000. That's it. It has made over $80 million and will likely make over $100 million in the box office alone. This is the major directorial debut for a 26-year-old kid who's made a couple of short films and a bunch of YouTube short skits with his buddy, who I also want to talk about as well. I have a bit of a controversial take on him. But has now created like this Jaws level effect. His best friend is comparing him to Steven Spielberg, and I don't even think that that's insane to say, with Steven Spielberg directing Jaws, I believe, at the same age, and it being this major cultural thing on a low budget, made this phenomenal movie that everybody's seen as a cult classic. And from what I'm hearing, this is one of the greatest horror movies that has come out in recent years, from what everyone is saying. Now, I may have a different opinion on this when I go and see the movie myself, because I'm not too charitable with the genre, and I really hope that we start to see young filmmakers coming up and making more dramatic movies that are, or maybe even comedies that kind of have that early 2000s, late 90s golden era of comedy feel that we're missing so much of. And the fact that there are still people out there that want to create and that want to do amazing things like this is just awesome. You should be excited, even if you don't want to be a filmmaker, or you don't want to be an actor, or you don't want to make YouTube videos talking about a niche subject that nobody's going to watch. You don't want to do any of those things, that's fine. You're still winning, because so many people are going out there and they are doing that for you so that you can go and watch great stuff. I hate when I meet somebody and I tell them that I love movies and that, there's so many good movies in the theater, and they go, no, there's never any good movies out. I'm like, do you follow anything? How did you actually say that to me? Because I can tell immediately that you don't follow any film updates. You don't check the theater constantly, because there have been some absolute bangers this year in the theaters. And now, listen, Do I think that the Backrooms is going to have as big of a cultural success as Obsession? At this point, I don't know. But the fact that these two exist, Kane Parsons being 20 years old, started making this movie at 18, and Curry Barker making a huge directorial debut at my age, it's the coolest thing in the world. And whether you're a horror fan or a drama fan or a comedy fan, you should be able to see that and go, wow, this is something special. We are living through, I feel like, a second breath of, of cinema. We got so screwed with COVID. That was true when people were saying there's nothing good in the theaters. COVID messed up so many things for movie schedules and studios and budgeting and actors being limited to doing all this stuff. And I definitely felt that for a long time that, it was lacking. But now I feel like we're kind of coming into this golden era of film. And the people that are around my age and maybe even a little bit older or a little bit younger, we're going to be able to look back in 20 years, and hopefully Curry Barker's had a very successful career. We're going to be able to look back and say, I remember how many people were talking about this movie. I remember it was like out of nowhere, this thing just came out and just went crazy. And that's something that we'll be able to tell the younger generations, our children, all those kind of things. And I find that so cool because I've never had that. Every actor that I've ever watched, I've had to discover their previous discography as I've grown up. I'm not one of these people that, I wasn't watching What's Eating Gilbert Grape and, all these young Leo movies. I was a young kid. I wasn't in the frame of mind to be watching stuff like that and to even really know what I was seeing. But now I see it all as it's coming out, and it feels so cool to be a part of it. So I just wanted to shout out that whole thing. I've heard that the cast is absolutely incredible in this, and they're all new actors. I love that. I've heard it 100 times from 100 different people. I just hate seeing the same people in a bunch of different movies. It takes me out of it. Shout out to Daniel Day-Lewis for never being recognizable in like any of his characters, by the way, because I do sort of feel this sometimes when I see, Matt Damon as Odysseus in the upcoming The Odyssey. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I can kind of get behind it, and I'll try to get lost in it. But that's kind of like, it's Matt Damon. It's kind of hard to not, and Tom Holland as his son, I think. It's like, that's Spider-Man. So it's a little bit hard for me to get taken out of the world. Whereas this just feels like a grungy, thrown together kind of cast that's like, they're super hungry and they want to make it. And you can tell based off of all of the reviews of their performances. I wish that I could bring my girlfriend in here. She's actually out getting us groceries right now. Shout out to her. I wish I could get her in here to get her take on it, but she said that it was one of the best movies that she's seen recently, and she's about as tough of a critic as me, so we're going to take that word as bond. This is the last thing that I want to say, though. I do think that there is a little bit of a Key and Peele situation brewing here, where Keegan-Michael Key is left in the dust and Jordan Peele goes on to direct these incredible movies, because right now everybody's talking about Curry Barker and Cooper Tomlinson, who's his best friend that made the skits with him, that started the YouTube channel That's a Bad Idea. He was comparing him to Steven Spielberg and saying, maybe I'll be the Tom Hanks to his Steven Spielberg. Now, I don't know if this is just a bias because I've seen him in a bunch of clips, but seeing a couple of clips from the movie of him acting, it kind of is giving skit energy, and I'm really hoping that this isn't one of those like Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler situations where Curry just has to include this guy in everything because they started off together. I don't personally think that he owes him roles that are super big if he's not going to be able to act on the same levels as the other actors. I don't think that that means he should just leave his day one in the dust. I think they've probably written all of their skits together, and I would love to see him as a screenwriter for him, as an executive producer. They make movies together versus Curry makes the movie and this guy's shoehorned in to be, the main actor in a bunch of his stuff. I really hope that it doesn't go that way. I hope this dynamic, nothing gets crazy with it. I'm sure that it's already such a big shock to them that this has gone so insane. This is, I believe, the fastest growing movie, like under $1 million budget since Paranormal Activity in like 2015. I mean, we have not seen this in so long, and it's only growing. Every single week, more people are going to see this movie. It's growing in numbers at the box office, getting an extended run. I mean, I checked Regal 3 or 4 times last week just to see what the theaters looked like. 2 to 3 days before the movie showing, half of the theater is sold out. My girlfriend went at 10:30 in the morning to her showing. Half of the theater was sold out, and then the rest of the showtimes for the rest of the day were completely sold out. The word of mouth advertising for this movie is spreading to where so many people that have no idea who these people are going and seeing it, and that is such a major win for every creative person that's ever posted on YouTube or had a dream about something that they knew that they could do if they just got the right backing. Shout out, and that's really all I have to say. I'm very excited right now. I never thought that I would be the one to sit here and say that horror is the genre that's like impressing me the most right now, as somebody who literally hates most horror films because I don't like being scared. But I do watch them on my phone with it, a little bit like turned away from my face because I'm a child. Anyways, shout out to Curry Barker. Absolutely love this. If you are thinking about doing something like this, if you want to make a short film, he has a very, very great quote where he just goes, just get out there and make like a bunch of shitty movies. Just make 5 bad movies. Or if you want to be an actor, go to some casting calls. If you want to be a musician, make a couple of shitty songs or a couple of shitty albums. Just go out there and do it, because you not doing it, the time is still passing anyways. And I think that is such a great thing to take if you take anything from this. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all for watching. Like and subscribe, please, for the love of God. I want to blow this channel up. I am so bad with my consistency. I had to work 6 days at work over the last 2 weeks, and it was just brutal. So I appreciate you guys for waiting. Anybody that's waiting on my videos, here we are. And this is a little bit of a different discussion video, so let me know if you guys like this little only up gameplay in the background. This was a pretty good run until I fell, as you guys probably saw. I was a little too locked in to even mention that, but shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for all the love, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.